Welcome to Local Everywhere. I'm Cynthia Pooler, and my guest today is Ryan Smithson, and he's an artist, and he's going to talk about one of his projects called Frankenflies. As we share the screen, he's done a lot of great things. So, Ryan, tell us about your artwork and how you got inspired to do it.
Sure thing. So there's a little bit of backstory here. I started the art pretty recently, and I'm going to talk about everything leading up to that. And that starts with the lesson that I've learned from all this is that I believe wholeheartedly in the transformative power of creativity because I've lived it, and in a couple different ways. So first of all, I was 16 on 9/11. And I joined the Army following high school. I joined as a reservist. I wasn't like gung-ho and didn't want to necessarily make a career out of it or anything like that, but I wanted to do my part. I wanted to do something. I had this kind of nagging feeling after 9/11 that, it felt like a responsibility. It felt like a call to duty. If I don't do something, who will, right? And so when I came home about a year after I got back, I was an engineer over there. So we were physically rebuilding the country. It was 04, 05. We were very busy doing a lot of road repair and building bridges and supporting infantry and building up new posts and things that the military was establishing. So very busy, very long year, but kind of did fly in hindsight. And when I got home, I was moving on. I got a job. I was going to school, and but I definitely was suffering from some post-traumatic stress. And I started writing about it when I was at Hudson Valley Community College in my second semester. And the professor there was very encouraging, said, "Hey, you really have an important story to tell, and you have a great writing voice, and you really should keep going with this." And so with her encouragement, even after I was out of her class, I would write these stories about what I had been through. And I didn't think I had enough to fill the pages of a book, but eventually I had all of these stories that had come out, and it was very therapeutic for me to write it. And it was primarily why I was doing it. But she said, "Hey, I really think you could get this together into a full book," which took a lot of work and rewriting and a whole lot of stuff, but eventually got picked up by HarperCollins, published in 2009. Is still read in high schools and colleges across the country, many in the capital region. And so sharing, I realized pretty early too, was also very therapeutic. So not only writing for myself and processing through this trauma, but sharing it with the world. I learned that lesson several years ago, and ever since then, I've gone to plenty of high schools and colleges and veterans events and groups. And one of the things that I've consistently told people is that it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you react.
It's good.
And so that was a big lesson that I learned from that. And I was going to kind of put my money where my mouth was with, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond in a few years. Little did I know. So in 2017, I took my kids to Magic Wings Butterfly Conservatory in Deerfield, Mass. They were little at the time, and they sell bags of wings in the gift shop for jewelry makers and artists. And I bought a bag thinking, I'm artistic. I make art with my kids. I'll do something eventually. And never thought I would do anything commercial with it. I just had this bag of wings that might look cool somewhere someday. So 3 years later, I was at home amidst a global pandemic, stressed out like everyone, bored like a lot of people. And I got the idea to use these wings, and I wanted to make a dancer for my daughter. She does every dance under the sun, every style. And her mother was also a dancer. So I wanted to honor that and make a dancer for her. I didn't really know how I'd do it. It took me a couple of tries, but eventually what I figured out to do is to take a silhouette of the dancer. So draw that, cut that out. And then I collaged the wings underneath it, kind of one at a time, backwards, upside down, which is really interesting because a lot of the wings look very different from one side to the other. So I don't totally know what it's going to look like. So I layer all these wings down, I close up the frame, and then when I flipped it over, I knew immediately, like, this is something really special and cool. And I didn't realize how unique it was. I haven't seen anything like this. I hear all the time from artists and even, museum curators and stuff that they've never seen anything like this, which is really, really cool. But I instantly knew how amazing it looked to me. And I hung it up on the wall. And every time I walked by, I couldn't help but look at it. And it was just so fascinating. And the pictures are great, but in person, the texture and the layering, I mean, and some of these wings shimmer and change colors. And it's really, really astounding. So I knew something was really something special had really happened. And I also realized that I can make any flat media. I could use any flat media, to make any image whatsoever. So I've made pieces with leaves, cigar wrappers, feathers, flower petals, anything flat, and literally any shape that works well as a silhouette. So also, again, during this time, some of the lessons that I've learned from art, I was going through a divorce in 2020, like a lot of people apparently. And this was one of the ways that I processed and got through it. And again, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. And I had told young adults that for 10 years. And it was sort of like, all right, well, Ryan, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. This is either gonna break you or it's gonna make you. And I made a decision to just go whole hog into this thing and see where it could go. And I was making gifts for friends initially and family. And I had enough people tell me like, hey man, this is really special. People would pay you for this. So I started going out there, and Cynthia, you and I met at Tulip Fest. I've done a couple shows and it's very well received. So I think we could pause here if there's any questions that you would like to ask.
So you've been doing this for a couple of years, right?
Yep.
So how I saw you at Tulip Fest. We met at Tulip Fest. How do you get known? Do you just go from place to place and from event to event?
Yeah, pretty much. I work in sales for a living. I have a day job. This isn't my full-time thing. So yeah, I just hustle. I got some business cards and I go out to networking events and I talk to people and tell them about the art. And most people are really, they appreciate it. They're like, wow, this is really cool. Even if they're not, super artistic person, or you never know, but sometimes people really respond to it and they're like, I have to have this, right? They connect with some piece. They really love skulls, for example. They really love dogs or cats or whatever it is. I've also done a bunch of custom work. So people started asking me, hey, could you do something custom? I really like seashells. Could you do a seashell for me or whatever? So I'll do things like that. And I also have people ask, could you recreate a photograph? So I've done that where I'll take a photograph of, I did a wedding photo of a wedding couple, and I did another one with a gentleman and his cat. His wife got him for his birthday. He loves this cat, so I recreated him and this cat from a photo she sent me. So it's really versatile. I can do a ton with it. The other thing that I've done with it as I've gone out, not only to tell people about the art that I'm creating, but because it actually is a very simple method, it's like deceptively simple. I take coloring sheets and I go around with kids, special needs students, anyone, all ages, abilities. The only thing that little kids couldn't do would be to cut the wings out. But, as long as a grown-up can help them with that, even little, 3-year-olds can color the wings themselves, whatever color they want. I give them a pre-cut stencil. If they're older, if they're teenagers, they can cut themselves if they have an X-Acto knife, but I give them all pre-cut stencil. And then they make a little piece. I give them a magnetic frame. They throw it up on the fridge and, they can create it in about 30, 40 minutes, anyone. So I started also teaching it to people, and I found out that it is very accessible. Again, all ages, abilities. And it's really cool to see kids who think I'm not an artist. I can draw a stick figure, or I can't even draw a stick figure, those types, right? Mm-hmm. Even those types of students can make something really, really cool, simple and easy. And at the end of the day, again, they do the same thing I do. They flip it over and they go, wow, that is really cool. And now they take it home and it's something they have forever. So in addition to learning it myself and hustling just for my own side business here, mm-hmm. It's also very cool that I've been able to teach it. And I think that's one of the, again,
now, do you
creating and art is therapeutic, but sharing is also very therapeutic for me.
Do you go to the different schools, or how do you reach these kids?
Yeah, so luckily, because of my book, I'm already connected with a lot of educators in the area. So I just started reaching out, and asking. I did a webinar training for Questar. So for all the Questar educators all over the state, I believe. I told them about it, did a little presentation similar to this, where I just told them about what I do and I can visit our classes. But I've been to a lot of these pictures are from Maple Hill. That was the first one I did, Maple Hill. I know the art teacher there. So she invited me in, and that was the first class I did. But I've been to Taconic Hills, Niskuna High School. I did it at Albany High School. I just went to my daughter's elementary school yesterday and did it. Miller Hill out here in April Park. So yeah, I plan to do plenty more.
So do you know of any other artists anywhere in the country that does what you do?
I don't think anywhere in the world, but
Really?
I don't know every artist. So I'm not going to say no one's done it, but I haven't seen it, and nobody I've talked to, again, even museum curators and stuff, that they'll tell me like, dude, I've never seen anything like this. And the fact that it's butterfly wings is what makes it unique. I mean, there's probably someone who's done collaging and silhouette, I mean, that can't be totally unique, but doing it with butterfly wings, I think, is what really is striking and different from other art that people see.
So basically your home base is upstate New York.
Yep.
Okay, so in other words, if people in California or any other part of the country, you make yourself known through the internet. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I have a site. So it's Fine Art America. If you just go there and just search my name, you'll find me. So Fine Art America, Ryan Smithson. And I have everything uploaded there. Anyone can go on and order a print of anything I've made, or iPhone case of anything I've made, or towels or puzzles, or all sorts of stuff they have there. So you can find all my art there. My whole portfolio is up online at Fine Art America. And then I'm also on social media at author Smithson, which I can throw up a slide here and show you some of that. But yeah, and if someone in California wanted to fly me out and visit their school and do a book talk and an art class, or I would be more than happy to do that. I've traveled around quite a bit. Farthest west I've been to for the book was Park City, Utah, which was an awesome trip. So yeah, definitely willing to travel and go spread the word as long as I got the time. And I'm even willing to pay for a flight myself if it comes down to it. I know how school budgets are. So I'm willing to work with people.
So you, how do you find out where the art things are? I mean, like there's going to be art on Lark, I guess, sometime in June in Albany. So how do you find out where the venues are? And do you have to apply to participate?
Yeah, typically you got to apply for those, but they're pretty open calls. I mean, they want people, they want artists, they want to fill their shows up. So as long as they're not full, I haven't been turned down from any that I've applied for. And then it's a matter of doing them and finding out which ones are really worth your time. Where is there good foot traffic? Where isn't there? And then, there's usually an entry fee for that, but it's usually not too crazy. $100, $300 maybe at the most. So it's more than worth it. You recoup that, or at least I do. And you can make some good money at those shows. And it's more of just the networking at this point, of just letting people know that I'm out here doing this, because you never know. I mean, again, people don't even think they're in the market for this, but they walk by and they see this really cool piece that they connect with for one reason or another. And so I want to get it out there as much as I can. So
do you feel art has changed your life?
Yeah, 100%. Again, this is still my side gig. But I've been through a lot in the last couple of years, as have a lot of us, all of us, really. And this, like I said, was one of the ways. I have other ways too. I'm a busy guy, but I have a few hobbies. But art was definitely one of the things that keeps me going. And it's changed my life in the sense of not just, again, processing for myself and making pieces for friends and connecting with people in that way, but also just sharing it with the world and seeing the look on people's faces when they walk by at Tulip Fest and they do that double take and they're like, wait, these are made with real wings? Hold on. And they come up and like that moment happens all the time. And it's the same feeling I got the first time I flipped that thing over and went, oh my God, this is really awesome. I live for that moment now. So yeah, it's definitely changed my life, and who knows where it's going to go. If it takes off, I mean, hopefully this is my full-time career in a year or two, and I can teach classes for a living, and, you know, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. But one of the other big things that I've been working on this year, starting last summer, obviously the central warehouse down in Albany,
Right.
was in the news. There was they had to shut down Amtrak and all that last summer. And
Mhm.
I'm driving by this thing, and I've driven past this. You know, I grew up around here, and I've seen this thing since I was a kid, and it's always been this ugly eyesore. And I was thinking, as I was driving by it, you know, that is a lot of blank space. That is a huge canvas for any artist with the gumption to actually try to get their stuff up there. So I said, hey, if I don't do something, who will? So I had this idea in the summer, but I didn't know what was going to happen legally. Like, this could be, I wanted to create a series to wrap around the building and see what happens. If nothing else, I'd create some cool series, but I wanted to see what would happen. And then in October of last year, all the legal stuff started moving with it. And they were talking about handing it over to Redburn Development and all of these things and taking away from the previous owner. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's go time. So last fall, I created this piece. I didn't even know what I was going to do, but I sat and thought about it. And I wanted to do something honoring upstate New York. I think, you know, obviously that building in this area, it's, Albany is so unique. It's such a small city for a state capital. And I love that about it. And I think a lot of the people who live here love that. It's small Albany, right? And so I wanted to honor that, and not just Albany and this upstate capital region area, but the whole upstate area, everything, you know, wherever you define upstate, let's say Westchester and up. I know that's debatable, but however people define upstate, I wanted to create a piece for them to honor that. And obviously apples are a big thing here, and metaphorically the Big Apple. And so I created this woman, a river honoring the Hudson River and the waterways in general in New York, and that have really shaped our history here. A map of New York State and some key highlights, and, you know, just general life living upstate, everything from West Point to Longhouses to Niagara Falls and 10th Mountain Division and the Adirondack Park and everything else. And then obviously the big upstate of mine, the actual title piece there with the butterfly. So this was really, really fun to create. I created a petition to try to get support for it. I think we got about 300 people or so total. But I met with Redburn Development at the beginning of this year. And they have to work through government approval in order to do any kind of art on the building, but the idea was very well received. Might end up being screening or something, might not end up being paint on the walls, but they really appreciated how much I used the white space and let that be white space, and with the pop of the wings. And obviously these wouldn't be real wings up here. It would be a painted translation by our muralist, but they love the idea. And if all goes well, this may very well happen. And so my ending pitch to them, if like, hey, art can transform me and the individual, then public art can transform the community. And I also have a lot of plans to, because this art is so accessible, of getting people involved and having a little area where it's all, you know, Frankenflies, or people help paint the mural or something, making it a public art project, not just a piece of public art on the building. So that initiative is #Butterfly the Warehouse, and my handle there is @author Smithson. If you want to find me, feel free to sign the petition. Feel free to reach out to me. Again, I do custom work. I do custom orders, so happy to do that for anyone. And
Ryan, let me ask you this. I'm looking at the building and I'm looking at the artwork. How would you do that? Would you do that with ladders, or, you know,
yeah, muralists.
your arm isn't long enough to reach the top of the building, right?
No, I mean, the art, there's windows on the bottom half of that building. So the art actually is designed, I measured it and scaled it. So it's actually designed to start on the blank area. So it would be starting at the 4th or 5th floor. So yeah, it would be scaffolding, and, you know, with the way they would do any other large mural. I'm not a muralist, so I don't totally know. We'd have to hire someone, but the logistics and all that we would figure out. And again, we may not be able to paint it at all. Redburn might be limited in that based on government approvals and things like that. I think they'll get something approved, but it may be screening. It may be a building wrap like they do on the side of a building when there's a concert in town. It might be something like that, which they can peel off, and so it's not permanent, which I actually really like, and I would love to be the first and up there for however long. But I love that idea because you could theoretically swap out different artists. They could have a new artist work up there every year, some local capital region artist, which I think would be very cool. I'd be super supportive of that. But
And change it every year?
no, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but they could have just screening. So it's just a peel off, sticker, and it's up there for, let's say, a year or two, and then they take it down and put up a new artist.
I like this little phrase, if art can transform the individual, then public art can transform communities. Did you think that up yourself?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's great. I
Thank you.
really like that.
Someone's probably said some version of that. I don't know, but yeah, that's, I guess, an original.
So what's in store for you this summer?
This summer I got work and kids. My kids are 12 and 9, so we go to Wildwood every year. They go to Cape Cod with their mother, so they'll be doing that. We also go up to Inlet, Old Forge area. My dad's side of the family has a camp up there, so we're going to spend 4th of July up there. And then I don't know, there's probably some other stuff going on. I got a couple more shows coming up. I got
Where will you be?
Oh, that's a great question. July, there's a show that I just got approved for, and I can't remember what it is. I'm sorry, but I'll be around. Follow me on social. There'll be I'll announce all the places I'll be. But there's one in July. I got another one in August, and I'm kind of pacing them out. I don't want to do something every weekend. It's just too much. But it's rolling along. Things are moving.
So in the winter time, since this area is not hospitable to us doing anything like in January and February, you do everything through the internet, correct?
Yeah, I mean, there's virtual things, I'm sure, but last year I did a couple shows around Black Friday. So there's certainly still shows and art shows are just, inside. They're not farmers markets or anything like that. But next year I do want to get it. I was too late this year, but I want to get in on some of the farmers markets next year and try to make it more of like a regular thing, or a couple times a month I'm out there doing this.
So as you go from art show to art show and you meet other artists, do you get any inspiration from the people that you meet?
That's a good question. I definitely get advice from them on how to be successful at shows, and I actively seek that. I ask them like, hey, what do you recommend here? What even booth setup, and like, where do you put pieces and how do you draw people in and blah, blah, blah. So they certainly helped me with that. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything specific that I can remember, but I've definitely had conversations where, there's a gentleman painting koi fish, and he's doing, and he, we'll be talking and he's painting the koi fish, and he goes, man, this piece might look really cool with, butterflies or whatever. So things like that have happened. Yeah. Where the artist will suggest I make something, or, hey, you should do a series on blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
How do you get your butterfly wings?
So I still get them from Magic Wings. They sell them in the gift shop. So at this point, I just call them and say, hey, how many bags you got? They're like, oh, we got 4. All right. Send them on out. So they just send it to me in the mail at this point. But
so the butterflies are deceased and they take the wings. Is that correct?
Yeah, they live full butterfly lives. So it's an indoor conservatory. Magic Wings is very cool if you've never been. It's a really neat spot. Indoor jungle. They fly around. They land on you. They're butterflies from all over the world. And they don't live that long. Butterflies, they only live a month or two. So when they are expired, they will sweep up all the dead ones every day, and any that are in good shape, they cut the wings off, and I think they freeze dry them to preserve them, but they'll last indefinitely. They won't rot or anything like that, especially when they're closed up in the frame like I do.
Wow. This is great. I'm really impressed. I'm impressed with your creativity.
Thank you.
Who Who would think of taking butterfly wings and making an art out of it? I mean, it's just terrific.
Thanks. I didn't think it was that unique when I did it, because they said, when I asked them at the gift shop, I said, why would anyone buy a bag of dead butterfly wings? And they
Uh-huh.
said jewelry makers, which makes a lot of sense. And they said artists will buy them and make art with them. So I don't know what other artists do if they're not making jewelry with them. Because it's not like they're whole wings. Like, I understand shadow boxes and preserving, like, and you have, and I've seen a lot of that where you have, like, it just looks like butterflies on a flower or something like that. But making art out of it, making it into something that doesn't look like a butterfly necessarily, I think is pretty unique. But again, I mean, maybe there's someone out there doing it. I just haven't come across them yet.
Well, this is great. So give your contact information again, and hopefully a lot of people will call you for a piece of art.
Yeah, thank you. So again, the name of the art is Frankenflies. It's up there on the hashtag. Excuse me. And then my handle is at author Smithson. So find me there and send me a message if you're interested in the custom piece, or if you just want to say, hey, I really love what you're doing, keep on doing it. Or if you have any questions, whatever, that's where I am.
Great. So thank you, Ryan. This has been terrific. You've
Thank
been
you.
listening to Ryan Smithson of Smithson. I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Local Everywhere. And if you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks, Ryan. Have a wonderful day. And I'm so glad we met. Your artwork is terrific. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you.